It is the first edition of Prime Hour for this week, and tonight we're going to be looking at what is making news across the Northwest, Southwest regions with respect to end of year examinations. We're talking about the GCE examination leakage. This has been persistent for so many years today, prompting the minister to push the final date of the writing, pushing it a week ahead, and we are going to be asking where the problem actually lies. Is it also the influence of information communication technology in its advanced mode, or the fact that private schools, the more and more, are pressuring some of the examiners to leak some of the examination questions to facilitate the obtention of the 100% that is sought after by so many persons, or it is the recklessness with which these examinations are being organized today. If time permits, we also are going to be looking at war, silence, and survival in the Southwest and Northwest region. Is the common man in the Southwest and Northwest regions, are they being listened to by the powers that be and those who are carrying guns in these conflict-stricken regions? We are discussing this with panelists, two of whom are already with me in the studio. We have two persons who are here with me. Others are still on their way caught in traffic. We have Mr. Mo Soke, who is coming all the way from Boya, Southwest Regional Capital. He says he wants to be the mayor of Boya. We hope that that dream comes to pass. We are glad to have you on Prime this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Thank you for inviting me once more for this prestigious program. I wish to greet all Cameroonians and just ask them to be patient with life and not to wish to desire to run faster than their shadows. So I wish to say that we'll see this opportunity to contribute our own little positive ideas on how maybe the GC board and the rest will be able to handle whatsoever they have been doing and how they can be more precautious in that which they are doing. I wish to once more also greet all the GCE and back writers that they should be courageous and they should continue to study hard because they will make it. Thank you so much for inviting me.
We also are wishing them well, hoping that every candidate makes it. We also are going to be discussing with Prince Joel Mukage, who is a journalist, and we're glad to have you. Please.
Good evening to you, Mr. Liu. Good evening to my co-panelists. Good evening to all those who are watching my media prime this evening. Good evening to the GCE students. I understand that a week is not a day, is not 24 hours, neither is it 48 hours. It is so many hours. I understand what parents and students are going through. Imagine a child who read all through Saturday, Sunday, only to be told that you will not write on Monday and that you should write on the 22nd. I understand psychologically what this child will be going through. Special good evening to the peace-loving people of Misaje subdivision. I used to call it, and as usual, is the land of milk and honey, where everything comes from. To His Excellency Professor Fukalisus Gentry, Minister of Mines, Industries and Technological Development, to all the funds of Misaje land. Okay,
I'll start with this reading. Rescheduling of the remaining papers of the ongoing GC examinations session. It is a press release signed by the Minister of Secondary Education. It reads, the Minister of Secondary Education hereby informs candidates, parents, school administrators, examination officials, and the general public that the government has approved the rescheduling of the remaining papers of the ongoing GCE examination session. This decision follows the working session with the head of the transition management team of the GCE board, during which she acknowledged the circulation of confidential examination questions through the social electronic means and social media platforms. The minister also collected evidence of leakage, which she has handed over to the competent authorities for investigations. After a thorough assessment of the situation and in consultation with the competent authorities, the government has concluded that exceptional measures are necessary to preserve the credibility, fairness, and integrity of the GCE examination. Consequently, the remaining papers, which were originally scheduled to take place from Monday, June the 8th, that is today, to Thursday, June the 18th, 2026, shall be rescheduled and administered from Monday, June the 22nd, to Thursday, the 2nd of July, 2026. The time slot remains unchanged, and the TVE exams are not affected. Candidates are advised to remain calm and continue with their preparations. Heads of examination centers school administrators and superintendents and other examination officials are instructed to cooperate fully with the measures the government is putting in place. Investigations are going to identify the source and extent of the security breach and ensure that all persons found responsible are brought to account in accordance with the law and applicable regulations. The government is fully aware of the inconvenience caused. However, preserving public confidence in the examination system and ensuring equal opportunity for all candidates remains paramount considerations. Signed the 6th of June 2026 in Yaoundé by the Minister of Secondary Education, Naloa Lyonga. Okay, Dr. Naloa Lyonga. Yes, this has been occurring for so many years today. Why does this leakage persist in Cameroon despite repeated government assurance?
Yeah, Mr. Liu, normally our community, our society is usually classified as a dishonest society.
Okay.
Morality is an aspect of life that has really been neglected. Mm-hmm. And you know, ethical issues, moral issues are the foundation of a good society. Mm-hmm. When people are not honest, when people are dishonest, when people are not truthful, when human beings are not honest, they are not truthful, it will always lead to things which are unethical and things which are immoral. Mm-hmm. And fraud, cheating, corruption, leakages of examinations, and all these things, they fall under malpractices. And malpractices are as a result of moral decadence, are as a result of unethical practices, which many Cameroonians have over the years been caught in the web of these issues. So it's really a very big problem because it's not new. Over the years, we've heard a lot about the issue of leakages, but unfortunately or fortunately enough now, the social media use, the hyper use of the social media has made it much more easier for information to spread. And that is why the information has spread and it has been viewed from all over the world that examinations have leaked. But it's not new. Examinations have been leaking in the past. But since there was no medium of quick and fast transmission, it has it ended at some quarters or at some levels. I just wish to talk to ourselves and to Cameroonians that it is our collective responsibility to preserve that which belongs to us. The GC board belongs to us. The examinations that are being set and run by the GC board, these are examinations that our children, our brothers and sisters are writing, and the credibility of this examination is maintained by the fact that we should be able to run these exams with all professional conditions that have been laid in place or laid down. I wish to say that it's not a good image, not a good, this information is not good to us. It's not a good information to especially the parents who have labored hard for their children to write this examination. They have paid for it, they have registered their children. Then some unscrupulous human beings go and leak the examination. It's really something which should be investigated, and the culprits should be brought to book or to book it. I wish to say that it's not a good practice. Let us learn as Cameroonians to be honest, to value that which is valued elsewhere. Elsewhere, examinations are valued. The administration of examination is valued. Let us not take everything for granted. Let us not take everything as a joke. An examination is not a joking matter. And I believe that the GC board should take serious measures to be able to curb this issue. Because we are living now, especially in the hyper-technological world, where examinations can leak at any level. And most of it in a time where the GC board itself is not the one printing the questions. A board like that is supposed to have all her facilities, the printing press whatsoever, so that they print the questions and they take responsibility. Because leakage can occur where these questions are printed. Because these are electronic documents that are used in printing, and the printing service, if it's not an honest service, it will also take side and leak the questions, and the GC board will still take the blame because they are the custodians. So they have to take all measures possible to make sure that they minimize the risk of questions leaking at all quarters. We will be coming back to some measures to be taken, but I just wish to say that it's a very hard decision that the minister has taken to be able to push this examination 2 weeks ahead, and it will incur a lot of cost on the side of the government and on the side of the parents whose children are involved in this. And this is why it's because of some unscrupulous individuals who wish for their personal interest and for their personal gain have made things like this. I think we should. I was so touched when some of my friends told me that if you travel to Germany and you keep a calculator in your class, you keep even 5 million in your class, and you leave and come to Africa 3 months thereafter you come, that 5 million wouldn't have even left where it was. Nobody touches it because the culture is honest. People don't take what does not belong to them. They know that this thing is not mine. They don't touch it. We should develop a culture of being honest, Cameroonians. It's a strong call to all of us. Let's be honest when we work. Let's be honest when we are rendering services to the public. It's abnormal and it's not acceptable for individuals to leak examinations. It's not acceptable. Let us allow all Cameroonian youth to have a fair chance of writing, and let the best score the best grades, and let everybody receive what they deserve. Let nobody have grades that they don't deserve because they saw the examination. And let me say this before I hand over. Every year I listen to youths after they have written the exams. They always come and say, my SPECO catch, that's SPECO catch, that's SPECO catch. It means that SPECO, what they have received from the quotas and the rest, they have paid. If finally they went to the class and saw it. Why should we continue to put at jeopardy that which others value in other nations? I just wish to say that the GC board should sit up and take very serious and stringent measures to make sure that this exam is the integrity of this exam is preserved, and let the credibility of the GCE be preserved. We don't want to hear again that things like this happen next year, because we will put our ears on the ground to listen. The big responsibility goes back to the GC board. Let them sit down and re-strategize on how to prepare to set this exam, move it to all the channels they're supposed to move into, and take all the precautionary measures to make sure that the exams do not leak. Thank you.
Okay, they have to. He's talking of measures. The minister has promised a major crackdown on whoever is found guilty of in the process of leaking these exams. I'm not sure this is the first time we are observing this. Who is not doing their job for these persistent leakages?
Thank you immensely, Mr. Liu. The first thing I will say here is I will quote you Abraham Lincoln, one-time American president. He took time, wrote a letter to his son's teacher. He told his son's teacher, teach my son that it is better to fail an exam than to cheat and pass. Teach him that it is better to fail an exam than to cheat and pass. That is the president of the United Nations writing to a son's teacher. It means that he came down and told the teacher that teach my son that to succeed, you need to work hard. Who is not doing their job? When I heard the news, first of all, I felt bad. I wept that once again, the beautiful nation called Cameroon is entering another sad page. Sad page because the GCE board, I want to remember that before it was created, it took a lot of sacrifices, trade unions, teachers, pressure groups, before it was finally created on the 1st of June 1993. And now, years after Mr. Liu, we should not, because that is like a measuring rod for a child who has spent 5 years in the secondary school for an ordinary level. It's like a measuring rod for a child who has spent 2 years in an advanced level. Mr. Liu, you will agree with me that when you were a student, it was not, it was far-fetched to hear that someone has had 25 points in the advanced level and 33 points in the ordinary level. And even when it came, you received prizes from all over. In fact, they were shown on the national station that, okay, Mr. Museke Lyonga has had 25 points in the GC advanced level. Today, because of some of these leakages, a child writes 11 papers. Someone who grew up maybe in my own village, had never seen the regional capital, knows nothing as bonjour, but has an A grade in French. A child who has a phobia for mathematics, has an A grade in maths. A child who does not attend what food and nutrition has an A grade, knows nothing about salt and even Maggi. It tells you that someone somewhere is playing a game. Now, who are these people who are playing the game? First of all, Mr. Liu, in what they call channel of a distribution or channel of production or channel of distribution in economics, don't tell you, Mr. Liu, that there is a producer who produces goods in large quantities, gives to a wholesaler buys in bulk, the wholesaler then sells to the retailer then takes to the quarters and sells to customers who are trustworthy. I listened to an audio on social media, Mr. Liu. I was extremely dumbfounded. I heard the voice of a young lady who should be a student saying she did not know that her teacher is that mischievous, that all the monies she had paid, and that she went to the classroom and nothing that the teacher had promised them showed up, and that all she's asking for is her money. How did we get here? The thing is there. The GC board who prints the papers, just like Mr. Mosaka was saying, when these papers are printed, where does it go to? Cameroon has 360 subdivisions, and I'm very sure that each subdivision in this nation has a secondary school. When do these papers leave that area and go to these 360 subdivisions? Even when they are in these 360 subdivisions, Mr. Leo, I know that the GC board used to send people in each center, they call them superintendents. It means that they understand that the principal of a school, in collaboration with his teachers, may want to favor their students so that they should have 100%. But now the GC board sends someone who is not part of that institution. They call him a superintendent. The objective of that superintendent is to ensure that they follow the modus operandi of the GC board. But now, when these papers leave the GC board haven't printed, who seals the papers? In brown envelopes. When it goes to these centers, where does it sleep? In the principal's office, in the police station, in the gendarmerie, or where do these papers sleep? Even when these papers spend this moment, Mr. Liu, at night, what takes place? We understand. I was discussing with someone and he told me children have created WhatsApp groups where teachers are there. There are more than 300, 400 people in that WhatsApp group. All you need to do is to chip in something. Mr. Liu, we have seen teachers who organize extra classes on the eve of the GC. I've seen it in Boya. I've seen it in the Northwest. I've seen it even in Douala. They tell children come and pay 115 or 2,000, and they tell you what we are revising with you will come. And the next day the child goes to school, they think comes wet verbatim. You are not a magician, even if you start revising topics that were when the GC started in 1993 to 2026. You must be a magician to tell Mr. Lyonga that, okay, go, when for instance, in economics, they'll bring you division of labor. You can teach a child everything about labor. But when you start specifying that this particular area will come, we start thinking that you had seen the questions. So I think, Mr. Leo, that the GCE board, it's quite a shame that it's happening to the Anglo-Saxon education that has always been a pride, not only in Cameroon, but in the entire world, that we should be talking about cheating and about leakages, because someone somewhere is not doing their work. We are talking of a GCE board at the moment where the GCE board does not have a registrar. Remember that the person who is heading now is a transitional government. The board itself, first of all, has its issues. And then those two within the board. And if you follow even from other investigations, Mr. Liu, you agree with me that when the transitional government came in, it first of all had to do it with some persons who were within the system. Now new persons may have come in. Why is it that those who were within the system? Because, Mr. Liu, we have always had leakages, like you said. But the one of this year is alarming. Alarming because we are talking of 2 weeks. Like Mr. Lyonga said, we'll come to some of the consequences. But, Mr. Liu, look even at the announcement. What you read there. It comes out, it comes on a Saturday. We know traditionally in Cameroon that Saturdays are public holidays, even though they are working days. But now when this information comes out on a Saturday, how many of our children, how many of my brothers and sisters listen to the national station 3 p.m. news, 1 p.m. news, and 5 p.m. news? How many of them are watching my media prime television now? They can tell you the name of the latest model in telenovelas. They'll tell you the comedian that's trending on social media. That is why, even today, Monday, Mr. Liu, there were children who went to school. They were only told go back. I had queried in my own WhatsApp group. I told my people, remember, Mr. Liu, and you agree with me that once the minister's communique came out, another communique came out purportedly from the GC board, telling children that that information that circulated from the minister was fake. Now, people had two contradictory documents. People now had to start calling some of us, should we go to, should we not go to school? A child has read on Saturday, read on Sunday, and on Monday you tell the child not to come to school because of leakages. I think, Mr. Leo, that when we were in school, they used to have what they call the bank. Once a question leaks,
examination bank.
An examination bank, Mr. Leo. Once there was what was called a speco in the morning, and you're coming at 2 p.m. to write, be rest assured that you not meet that paper. Something had already taken place. But if we are where we are today, someone is not doing their job. And like that paper, like the minister said there, we are waiting for the investigations and let heads roll.
Let heads roll. Is this a failure of the system or evidence of an organized network that is working, benefiting from this malpractice?
Yeah, Mr. Liu, there are three strong areas. The first set of persons that are directly concerned with this issue of examination leakage should be the examiners themselves, because you have special people that set the questions before they hand the questions to the next phase. These examiners who are setting these questions, if they are not honest enough, they will leak the question. Even if they are not sure that that's what will come in their own way, the questions will leak. You have the level at which these questions are printed. These questions are printed not at the GCE board. They are printed with a private press whose name I don't want to mention because it's not necessary. It means that the GCE board itself is not a control of the printing of the questions. The GC board is not in control of the printing of the questions. The questions are printed by a third party, an outsourced party, who has its interest, in whatsoever they are doing. So I just wish to say that the level of those who are setting these questions, examiners, the level at which these questions are printed, then now the other level now, which is the distribution level, where these questions are distributed from all over Cameroon, and passes from one level, one hand to the other. all this, the GC board does not have stringent control, modern control measures at all this level to check how have these questions moved from Boya to all the other parts of Cameroon where these questions are supposed to go to. The printer that is printing these questions, are they honest enough when the digital copies are used to print? Are the digital copies not saved for distribution? When the questions leave, when they have been sealed, they come back now for distribution to other places. So the administrators of the GCE board in this modern age should be able to explain to the public if they have modern measures to prevent leakage at all this level, because we should not continue to take things for granted and blame others when we have not put control measures, because control measures are the key in all this. If there are no modern control measures at the respective level to make sure that nothing leaks, the exams will continue to leak. Even if they investigate today, they catch 1 or 2 persons, there are networks that have already been established. Somebody will be in Garwa. There is a network that just link you up. The questions are already there. You already send it to the other district. So actually the GC board takes responsibility of whatsoever happens, because they are the ones that should put all the modern control measures to avoid leakages. Have they done so? It's very important. Have they done so? If they had done so, then why the massive leakage? Why the massive and alarming leakage? Of course, I mean, there is something wrong somewhere. Control measures have not been put in place that are necessary for the modern world of today, especially in this digital world where you have cyber criminality and all the rest rampant. Young men who have studied technologies, engineering, and the rest, who are just there to do their job. It is very incumbent on the GC board. I have written many professional exams that come from outside the country in Cameroon. I've written so many of them. I've never heard any day that one of the professional exams ever leaked. No day. In fact, these are exams that have been running for over 50 years in Cameroon. But I've never heard any day that one of those examinations leaked. So the GC board has to sit up and they owe the public a strong explanation on what is going on. It's very, very serious, and the sledgehammer should not spare the number of people that will be held responsible on this. The authorities have to sit up and make sure that because there are a lot of modern control measures to take. There are electronic ways of controlling things today. Even the papers, there are electronic ways to preserve the boxes, the cartons, and the rest that are carrying these papers. There are codes, there are many of these things. Have they upgraded to that level so as to prevent these leakages that have marred the examination for this year, and which has made international news, people all over the world? So it's very, very serious, but the GC board takes the responsibility. They are the primary custodian as far as this examination is concerned, under the control of the Ministry of Secondary Education. It's very, very serious, and they should take this thing seriously and make sure that it does not repeat itself again.
Okay. We hope that they take this very seriously, and that after investigations are carried out, people should be seen as having been sanctioned and not just talked about. And like you say, the GCE board really needs to come out to explain to Cameroonians what went wrong as per the findings from the investigations. I don't know whether that should be done at the level of the GCE board or at the level of the Ministry of Secondary Education, or also at the level of the University of Boya, which also has a stake in supervising supervising and ensuring to guarantee the quality of what is happening. We've just been joined by Semutaga, who is a special advisor to Professor Maurice Kamto, National President of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Kum Leonard, and good evening to all the fine brains that we are sharing this panel together. Good evening to the millions of Cameroonians who are lamenting outside there because of the irregularities that have plagued the GCE board of late. You remember, in the early 20s, we never used to hear this type of catastrophe that has been falling our prestigious GCE board. We have the impression that there are some people or some hidden hands that want to rubbish the prestigious GCE certificate that used to be of international repute. I remember while I was in upper sixth, that was around the early 2000s, one of our principals that schooled in France came back and told us that if you have the GCE advanced level and you were to seek admission in the French universities, you are not going to go through a pre-test unlike the baccalaureate. So if the GCE is really facing public mockery as we're having it today, then it is a ridicule on the system that is organizing those organizing elections. So I want to think that most of the irregularities that have marred the GCE are quite noticeable in the littoral region, the central regions. If you go to the northwest and southwest region where students are to write the GCE, you find that the irregularities are not common there, because most often, since last year, we used to carry out research. We've been carrying out research to really understand exactly the epicenters where those irregularities are common. You will bear in mind that we are in the nation's economic capital and the nation's political capital, where there is the proliferation of private institutions, there is the proliferation of let me call evening schools and all the like. So these schools have tend to look at education and the success at the end of course examinations, that's the GCE ordinary and advanced level, as a source of average. In the school that has the highest number of pass and the best grades, you see, they tend to have the best names, and then you see they also have people struggling to get their students registered into those institutions. So it has really pushed most of those liaison officers, the liaison officers that are working with the GCE, to think that they should use the GCE or the selling of examination papers as a way to make money. And after all, after the marking of the GCE, we always hear lamentations coming from the markers that the government has not paid their monies and all the like. So with this, they want to have the compensation before going in for the GCE, and it's quite regrettable. I think that the system that is organizing this election needs to be very accountable. The Minister of Secondary Education should be ready to work with the GCE board so that a commission of inquiry be put in place, especially with the technocrats, those of the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunication. We think we have other persons, you understand, because these leakages are done through WhatsApp. I don't think that WhatsApp, in the modern technology, there are really ways to prompt in WhatsApp to really dig out. And then, if you look at what is happening, you find that some of those criminals who also deal with the selling of exams, papers, and other like, they use numbers which are not registered in their names. We are attributing most of the blame even on the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications, that is supposed to regulate the sales of SIM cards in our nation. So I think that the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunication with the Minister of Finance, they are leaving something out. Of recent, we heard that they were struggling to impound on phones that have not been registered, but there is something wrong. High criminality is being committed in our country as a result of the fact that the identification, proper identification that is supposed to be done at the mobile operation offices or operators is not adequately done, and nothing is being done. So, Mr. Kum Leonard, if you look at, even with the telephones that we are talking of, you know exactly the suffering that Cameroonians are prone to, especially with regards of exploitation from these mobile telephone networks, or let me not call their names. you buy a data bundle, maybe 10,000 francs, and they tell you that you are supposed to have a gigabyte per day, and you are not sure to enjoy it because most often you don't even have it. Some those who have, you feed your account, let me say 1,000 francs, and they give you 2.5 gigabyte like they do. You are not able to have even to use it for 3 days or 4 days, and then you have appellative network. Most often, you messages are not going and all the like. So, I think that the presidency of the republic is supposed to act, because this is a spank, a very big spanking in the face of our educational community. The prime minister is supposed to be at the center of the condemnation of this evil that has really befallen our educational system. Because just imagine, my brother, a country where a student would not learn. You, the teachers, spend time teaching from September right up to the month of May. Some of them are hardly in class. And then you see sometimes students who are in classroom, they behave waywardly. Their parents will come and then maybe want to attack the teachers, or not, like, simply because they think that registering a student in school is just a way, maybe it's mere formality. At the end of the year, the parents are the ones that will give the money for the students to go and buy those papers. Because don't forget, these students are students who are schooling. You ask yourself, from what we hear, some of them buy maybe with fabulous sums of money. Who are those giving the money to the students to buy? We know that students do not have money. They are the parents who are supposed to give them that. They are the parents who give them actually that money to go and subscribe to those WhatsApp SPECO groups and all the like. And then when a SPECO group is able to give result, or let's give question word verbatim, and you, a parent, you see such a SPECO group in a country where there is a certain degree of moral decorum, I think a parent is supposed to call that SPECO group to order. He's supposed to report such a SPECO group that has given the first paper, it is word verbatim, the second paper word verbatim, and the third one word verbatim. A parent who sees such a derogation from a SPECO group and then stays quiet is a criminal. It's a criminal, because don't forget that we only instruct in school and they educate at home. So, in a nutshell, what I want to say, if there is leakage, the failure does not only regard the Ministry of Secondary Education, it does not only regard the GCE board, though the greatest responsibility falls on them. The parents who encourage their children to buy those papers and then go and write are criminals themselves. So there should be a thorough police investigation. Police should be able to investigate, go into those centers. They can not only investigate and arrest political activists who are against the state and lock them in prison, and they are unable to investigate to pick criminals who adulterate the educational system and rubbish the public image of our nation outside there. So the police should go into examination centers where those irregularities have been recorded. They should be able to confiscate all the phones from the student. They should be able to go even into the homes of those students. They should be able to take their names, go to the mobile telephone companies and try to see if they can have any link between the students, because tracking the students who wrote in that center.
From what you are saying, it means that maybe some of the workers may have taken up the habit of making good business from the examinations, which is supposed to sieve the best of our children.
Yes, Mr. Kum Leonard, like I said, though the community as a whole shoulder part of the blame, I talk of the parents who give money to their students to go and buy those questions through the SPECO groups. If the first question is word verbatim and the second word verbatim, I think you are not supposed to be jubilating that the teacher. There's no super genius on earth that can propose questions and they are the same like those of the GCE. You, the parent, is supposed to know that there's already a leakage. And as a parent, I think you are the very first person that is supposed to report such a group. And then, like I said, the liaison officers, most often those leakages are from the liaison officers, where the exams are being stored. You see, some of them who are there are not faithful to the GCE board. They sell questions after all. If you can sell maybe, let's say, you have a group of 90, even up to about 90 proprietors who come and give you 500,000 francs. You know what it means. You must have made fabulous sums of money, more than the money of mission which has been given to you by this month. And it is regrettable. It's regrettable. That's what I was just saying, Mr. Kum Leonard.
Yes. Yes. Can we say that exam leakage now is a business protected by influential insiders?
Very clear. It's true. Most of those who get into this black market are those who are within the system. They want to make much money. One thing we need to understand, Mr. Liu, is that most of even those who are within the teaching core, a majority entered it as a profession, not as a vocation. They wanted a magical number. A majority. Out of 100 teachers you meet, not up to 30 actually entered ENS, graduated because they wanted to change lives. We had teachers whom once you slept, even before it was 5 a.m., you were up already because they had passion. Madame Bella taught me in CBC Bolifamba, as you remember, all our teachers. But now we have people today whose fathers are well-to-do. Once a competitive exam is launched, they negotiate, and the next day the young man is even flocked to enter there because he's looking for something bigger. They tell him, get in here first, enter the ENS. It's a step, get the matricle first. Once you get it, we'll look at that progressively. Now, such a person who enters into a job without having the passion for it, without having the vocation for it, but looks at it as a source of income, will stop at nothing, but make money from that profession. That is why you'll ask yourself where a child, like Semutaga was saying, where will a child get such huge sums of money to buy questions from? Some of us went to secondary school then when they were paying 7,500 francs. Today there are schools where parents pay 800,000 francs for school fees. 1 million francs CFA. You do not expect the proprietor of that school to register a 60% in that institution when a parent paid 1 million francs CFA as school fees. The proprietor will do everything necessary to negotiate backstage to have questions. And now, since we are also living in a system where education is looked upon as a business, it means that Mr. Mushuke has money today and does not think that he should empower the youth. He opens a school. Look at, I started with one young guy is teaching, I think, economics or his additional maths in one private school. When he did his board marks alone, how the school operates, Mr. Liu, in the whole secondary school from Form 1 to upper set, you will notice that just Form 1 and 2 can pay all the teachers of that school the entire year if it's a private institution. A day where they see that the teachers have a lot of subjects, they declare a public that does not exist. That's what they do. And they want to go for people who are willing to just teach to get a name, sir. I feel that, Mr. Liu, our educational system is begging for a rebirth. We need to rebaptize it. How do you feel, Mr. Liu, that you're discussing with someone without stigmatizing any person of another expression, or even from Nigeria, and he tells you, man, I heard that in your country, because of examination malpractice, which was alarming, they have suspended, because that's the right term. We are using the word reschedule because I'll look at it as a euphemism. We just want to be soft. The word is the exams have been suspended to come back after 2 weeks. That's the right thing. But since we want to make it soft, not to sound as if we say we want to reschedule. 2 weeks, Mr. Liu, is so much time. I think that we'll be looking at the consequences, but it's so much time. 2 weeks is not 2 days. And Mr. Liu, those who are doing this line of business, they are doing it in connection with those who have the questions. Because normally, we know that not one person sets a question. There are so many people, even in the GC, they have what they call a chief examiner. They have an examiner, a second examiner, and a chief examiner. Which means that even you who said, say Mutegame said, you said and I said, we may end up not knowing the final paper that will constitute that subject. Say paper 1 or paper 2. But now how do children, because Mr. Liu, what is happening that I've pushed the exams from the 8th to the 18th for my findings? It's not because of only the subject was to be written today, not the subject was to be written tomorrow. It means there were questions already that were to be written even on Friday that children already had. How do you explain this? How did we get here? How do you sacrifice the future? That is why we have people who are in high offices, teachers, who live even modern letters, are teaching literature and English, who said, I did not went to school yesterday, a teacher. That is where we found ourselves. We have parents who want that their children are supposed to travel. There is Canada that is waiting for the child. He needs his advanced level. That's the only thing the Canadian government is asking. Bring his advanced level and we open him, we give him access to the university. The parent will stop at nothing to negotiate to see that the child gets a pass. We have people who, once they are writing an exam, Mr. Leo, there is already an opening for competitive exams. As we speak, the minister, the minister of, the man who is in charge of recruitment, Joseph Lay.
Okay.
Yeah, public service. Joseph Lay, the minister has just launched a concours of not less than 2,000 and plus jobs. ENS, the mining department, forestry, customs, ENAM. Bet you, Mr. Semutaka, maybe the reality about Cameroon is some children, even before they sit for advanced level, they are already at eyeing ENAM. And this child does not want to miss his chance. He needs the chance. And so the parent stops at nothing to ensure that that child gets an advanced level. So in as much as we throw stones on the GC board, Mr. Leo, we should also ask ourselves that what have we become as parents? I quoted you here, Abraham Lincoln, who wrote a letter to his son's teacher, telling the teacher, teach my son that it is better to fail than to cheat and pass. Teach my son that a penny earned is better than a pound fooled. Teach my son to have confidence in his ideas, even if anyone tells him they are wrong. Where are we today? We're in a system where people have that's the kind of system we're living in. Have a master's, have a PhD. Give the person 2 minutes to talk in public, and you're like, you sure say the man good at school? That's the system we find ourselves. Why? Because people you get your advanced level, you enter into the public service, you amass enough money, the next day you enroll in they call it distance studies. You're teaching, you're getting your salary, you're going to the university. Before you know it, you have a PhD. I think, Mr. Leo, that what has happened to the GCE board, let the Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyunga, who I appreciate. Because when you look at what is going on, Mr. Leo, it is true that the decision has a boomerang effect on the GCE board. But I think the suspension or the rescheduling was normal. Because there were surveillance cameras. While the minister was on visit in a school, on a campus, a student's phone rings in that classroom. The minister herself. You start asking yourself, what became of the search team? How did this phone leave the gate, pass through the invigilators, and found itself inside the classroom? Okay. You then look at it, Mr. Leo, that it's an entire network. Mr. Leo, when we were writing this GC exam that I'm talking about, what we went with was not even a paper. You went with a pencil, a pen, and a ruler. Okay. Supplementary sheets are given to you in the GC hall.
I visited an examination center here in Douala, and that is Lycée Ndorem. I want to be very frank. I've been visiting that center because it's closer to where I live, and I see the degree of severity which the chief of center in that is managing that center applies or is applying for all the examinations, the BPC, the probatoire, and even the back. You see, students, the candidate don't enter the examination center with shoes. They write with slippers like Chinese, because she's afraid that they might enter with something hidden inside the shoe. So I think that I was saying that most of the problems we are having with regard to examination is the majority come from the private schools that are having examination centers. I want to be frank, because during our years back in secondary schools, it was quite difficult to have private institutions that were hosting students to write. Today, they have decided to turn education as a source of avarice. People are making money out of education, whereas education ought not to have been something that we traded. So I think it's high time the Minister of Secondary Education stop private schools from hosting accommodation centers, honestly speaking, because the problem comes from them. We are not in any way excusing the GCE board and the liaison officers and all the like, but I think that most of the problems we have are from the private schools where the teachers are not well paid. Even though the government teachers, we know the issues of the, how they call them, operation, what you know the name, I've just forgotten the name. We're not saying that the teachers of the public schools are well paid, but I want to say that the problem, a majority of what we have with leakages come from the evening schools who want to go and buy questions for the children to pass and have good grades, the private institutions where there is no effective control of the content that is taught in those schools and all the like, and the laxity that is observed within the educational system as a whole, because the teachers were doing their job and the Ministry of Secondary Education is monitoring to ensure that education is effectively dispatched to these children who will not have been having these irregularities that we're having today.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. To solve the problem, Starlink internet works everywhere. They should make it available to every center with printers that makes command directly from the GCE board and back up power systems. And the question be sent to every center 10 minutes before the writing time, when the candidates are all seated in the examination hall for printing and distribution to candidates. I think it will help. This is Mr. Ngwa Niba Franklin writing from Mundum. Good evening, Mr. Liu and fellow panelists. I am Maxel, a channel economics teacher in Yaoundé. Mr. Liu, this is indeed a serious problem. I remember when we used to beg teachers to explain topics to us even after school hours. Today, some students openly tell teachers, leave it, I will still score an A in your paper. There are also rumors that some individuals gain access to examination papers long before the exams and create exclusive groups for selected students. Even more concerning is that some candidates who do not perform well in class exams, not attend classes, still end up receiving high grades. I believe this issue involves a well-organized network, and those responsible may not be far from the examination system itself. The chairman of this network is definitely at the GCE board. What surprises me most is that up to now, no one has been arrested. Investigating a few students involved could easily expose the groups and the individuals behind them. As Vice Chancellor of the of UB, Minister Narulwa did a commendable. As Vice Chancellor of the of UB, Minister Narulwa did a commendable job in protecting the integrity of examinations in Boya, and I still have confidence in her commitment to academic standards. Let her ministry start by getting these private schools teach normally, because the whole year they create public holidays not to pay lecturers and get their students to some of these groups. Okay, someone raised this already here. Greetings, Mr. Liu, and to all in the studio. It's a shame with what is happening to our educational system. Nelson Mandela said, if you want to destroy a nation, attack its educational system. What do you expect from a principal who bought his way to that position? In economics, you invest expecting profits in return. It's in Cameroon that elections are conducted, and by counting, a different person wins and another person is declared winner. Why should educational system be different? Is it not a Cameroon? Ndula from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to your guest. There are established networks choosing invigilators in the past. The subjects they had studied was taken into consideration, that is, arts teachers invigilating science subjects while science teachers invigilating art subjects. This is no longer done in some schools. There was a school where the principal took the superintendent and they were drinking in a nearby bar while teachers were busy showing answers. Marcel Mbi Zenui in Kumbo. I am Kimeng Jude Tal watching from Besa in Belo subdivision. Special greetings to you and the panelists in the studio. I love the program. Our educational system to come back and have the value as it was around the 1990s and early 2000s. The other ministries should copy from our able mother, Madame Naloa. My regards to Mr. Kenchu Evaristus and Madame Dorothy Ntum. Well, okay. Wow, very long messages today. I'm going to come back to it. But is this a clear indication? Because they say the end justifies the means. We are looking at the outcome of what has happened throughout the year. Is it a clear indication that what is happening in our schools today is just business? Those who are creating the schools are there to make their business, to make money. The teachers are using any means possible to make money. And the examiner says, okay, since it is business, we also need money.
Yes, Mr. Leo, actually, I wish to say that they should actually not let go the aspect of final results. Okay. Because at the level of final results also, some persons come out with very good grades who never passed. But so there is also a corrupt network at the level of the database itself for the final results. I'm just saying this so that they should be able to put control everywhere now. They should not just base themselves on papers. Even at the level of the final database where results are released, there is still high level corruption at that level. Which also, that is also something which is very serious. That people who have papers, produce me 5A grade, 3A grade, they have it. But they never had that. All these rumors are not, we have heard them in the country. People bragging how they bought and things like this. So my point is that in any society where people are not well motivated, there is always the tendency of corruption. People who are not well paid always have the tendency to look for other sources of income or other means in which they can supplement the little stipend that some, especially private schools, are giving to their teachers. Stipend. So private schools, we are not like trying to accuse you people that you are the ones, but you pay your teachers very low, whereas you receive a lot of money that parents pay to private schools. The salaries of private school teachers is very, very low. Most of them are crying. And if they have such opportunity to leak exams, they will do it. Because they will tell you that what do they receive? This is an opportunity for them to make money. So people will use the GCE to make money. People will use other examinations to make money because truly they lack the means. What they receive as salary is so low, so small in a way that it cannot take them through. So they will fall into any temptation that will lead to financial inflow into their banks. You cannot blame them. I'm not saying that somebody should go and sell questions or whatever, but people should be well paid. People should be well paid when they have served. When teachers have taught, proprietors pay teachers well. You receive a lot of money from parents who pay to your private schools. Pay teachers well so that teachers will not fall into little temptations to sacrifice exams. This happens everywhere. The GCE board is not the only place. Even in universities, in other private higher institutions where things are not moving well, students buy CA marks, students buy questions, and the rest. We have heard this thing, we have seen it many times because of low motivation of teachers. Teachers should be well paid. And this is something we should take serious. You cannot be paying people so low, so small. How do they survive? How do they survive? They will look for other means in order to survive. So we should be able to have this at the back of our mind that as the proprietor is having much money to live his better life, let him not minimize the fact that teachers who are teaching these students that are bringing the money to him, those teachers should be well paid.
Yeah, but does it justify the fact that teachers should leak out exams because they're not well paid?
No,
why don't they just resign?
It doesn't justify, Mr. Leo, but human beings are easily tempted and fall into temptations if they have needs that could be met by that temptation. They will use that temptation, which was not originally their intention, but they find the opportunity. Like if you study the fraud triangle, it's talking about the opportunity. When the opportunity shows up and you lack, you don't have, it even applies even to girls that don't have the means. When the means show up or somebody wants to give you money, even a lady who never had in mind to become a prostitute at the rate, you find a lady falling for money.
Okay.
So it's temptation, and we should make it in a way that people are comfortable, even with what you are giving them, so that they can easily resist such temptations when they come their way.
Good evening, sir. I'm a GC candidate. I would like to let you know how much the postponement of the examinations affected many of us students. We have spent months and years preparing for these papers. When the postponement was announced, it completely disrupted our preparation and state of mind. Personally, I was so affected that I have struggled to study since hearing the news. Many people may see it as just a change of date, but for candidates, we have been working towards these exams for years. It carries a heavy emotional impact. I hope the concerns and feelings of the students can be given a voice. Thank you. This is also something we're talking about, the implication of this exam for those who are writing, because for schools, take boarding schools, they have to keep these kids for extra 2 weeks. The children themselves, they are demotivated. You need to go an extra length. They already saw themselves out of school by this time, and they have to stay on.
Yes, Mr. Kum Leonard, permit me just answer a televiewer who thinks that we are launching an attack on the private institutions. It's not an attack on the private institutions, it's the opinion. I want to say that the public institutions are not left out. In as much as maybe attempted throwing flags at them or on them, it does not mean they are left out. If you want to look at what is happening in the educational system or sector, you understand that in the secondary school, most of the secondary school teachers who are supposed even to be teaching the students in the government institutions well have instead decided to desert, and they have taken us in the private institutions. So you find out that the students who are even registered to teach in the public institutions are not well taught, because teachers always maybe escape to go and look for extra money in the private sector. So the payment or the salary of teachers in our nation is really not very good. The package is not good, whether in the public sector or in the private sector. We are not seeing that those in the public sector are well paid, whereas compared with their counterpart in the private sector. So that's why you see that those in the public sector all want to go and get some small stipend from the private sector to cover up with what they are earning. Despite all these irregularities or despite these shortcomings, I don't think that as a teacher, because the job of a teacher is a noble profession. Remember, Jesus was called teacher. Teacher means that teaching by example, and Jesus did not come on earth here to be clothed in coat, or to be riding in a jeep, or to be living in a mansion and a skyscraper. He took upon himself the humble lifestyle. That means a lifestyle of a poor man with integrity. A teacher is supposed to, first of all, have his integrity. No matter whatever he's paid, he is supposed to be honest. He's supposed to be an example to everybody. If we are teaching the students in the classroom how to be honest, because we say honesty, discipline, and hard work leads to what? Leads to success. So, and then we are the very first person to call them and sell marks. I think this is unheard of. So, Mr. Kum Leonard, please, your question again. I think your question again.
We are looking at the implication of this. Students just wrote that they are demoralized. Mentally, they are touched, and that it is weighing on them.
Yes, Mr. Kum Leonard, it's not only weighing on the educational community alone, it is also weighing on the entire economy of the nation. Don't forget that some of these students ought to be going back on holiday to assist their parents on the farms, and others in other business to see how they have to prepare for the next academic year. So, and then to the students who have been preparing meticulously, they have been diligently and honestly preparing for the examinations and praying that God helps them, because they have learned as if all depends on them, and they have been praying as it all depends on God. And then just to get up in the morning because some unscrupulous individuals got themselves involved in unscrupulous things, and then the examination has been entirely suspended and the date shifted up. It means a whole lot of things for them to go back and begin to revise. You know what it means to have spent almost 10 months revising for an examination and preparing to write an examination on a fixed date, and they tell you that he has been shifted again to another later date. So I think it is demoralizing. So, but then, like Prince said, you know, desperate situations trigger desperate measures. The Minister of Secondary Education was not expecting to have these irregularities being recorded, I think this is just a way to ensure that those who have prepared for the examination should be those who will be having the result, the pass which will be awarded them during the final stage of the marking. But then, I used to see in our days back in secondary school when we wrote the GCE, they used to have, you see, the GCE bar will be labeled, you see A, B, C, D. They said the questions were always placed in A, B, C, and all they said. I don't see any reason why if a pi A is leaked, they could not go to get the pi B or get the pi C or the pi D. But perhaps the Minister of Secondary Education and the GC board are telling us that all the whole pile of questions or the bank of questions has leaked, and they will be struggling to set new fresh questions so as for the students to write. And then what other mechanisms are being put in place to ensure that there will be no real leakages of the questions again? So it's a whole dilemma, Mr. Kum Leonard. So we only think that a televiewer said that if there had been a strong system in which, like we see in other institutions. I remember when we were back in when we were in the university, there were some teachers that, professors that used to refuse to send their questions to the secretariat. They come in the morning with their questions, and then they only dictate the questions, or they come they come with the questions in the morning and they dictate the questions, and then or they come with the questions in their pie and they print them there. So if there was a way that the GC board could ensure that the questions are sent directly into private phones, or all the institutions were having internet, like somebody said, you see, the questions could be sent the same day and they print in those centers and the right. But then, looking at the epileptic nature of our nation, we don't have electricity. So Kader will give electricity today. I told you of internet. Internet connection is not the best. Sometimes before connection would reach Frunkankang, and sometimes you reach Tokomber and Ngoketunja, you can call, or like you can call. You see that the questions might have already been written here, and since it is possible to call somebody on the phone and say, oh, we had this question, like, so it's a whole problem with the management of our state. So the internet connection is not the best. You know that for certain. It's not the best. And then secondly, with regard to what I said here concerning the private institutions, Mr. Kum Leonard, being accommodation centers, you'll find out that most of the private institutions which are even serving as accommodation centers are serving as a result of the lack of public institutions which are having well up-to-date infrastructures to accommodate. They are only assisting the state to accommodate the students to write in their centers, because if you want to look at most of the public institutions in our nation, move around, you will see, if you go to the northern, you saw students schooling under the trees. Can you imagine a accommodation center where children were writing under the trees and monkeys are jumping off the trees and seeing what they are writing down? So you understand that the private sector is helping the government. Our prime problem here is that compared to those in the public sector, the teachers in the private sector are going through hell. I'm talking like somebody that have been in the private sector. The proprietors are making fabulous sums of money, and the teachers are charging. You see the Minister of the Minister of Secondary Education, the Minister of Employment and Social Security, they are not doing anything possible to ensure that these teachers have good standards of working conditions. They have good standards of living. Some of them are not affiliated to the social insurance fund. You see that most often some private schools create public holidays. They create their own public holidays, and with that, the students are undertaught, and then teachers who are like those who call the vacateurs, they don't have the money, and just imagine that they are affiliated to examination center, they will be tempted to send questions.
I'm reading something though not cannot independently confirm to authenticate this, but someone is writing here that internal GCE board betrayal, Nalua Lyonga spills the beans, addressing allegations circulating online that the leak was a coordinated external attempt by Francophones to undermine the Anglophone system. The minister fiercely rejected any form of warmongering or scapegoating. She firmly puts the blame on the internal systemic failures and corruption within the Anglo-Saxon educational community itself. Lyonga emphasized that leaks were an internal betrayal, noting that the GCE questions were leaked through institutions like a printing press, which I would not want to mention here, and handled by individuals directly involved with the GCE board rather than external entities. So she's saying it is us amongst ourselves who are seeking ways of destroying our educational subsystem. But what implications are for our subsystem of education, internally and internationally?
Mr. Liu, before I answer this question, I'll tell you an anecdote briefly for 2 minutes. When I was in Form 3, our economics teacher, Mr. Cherulan, for those who know him, Mr. Cherulan moved into class to tell you that what the minister is saying, this is a network. The economics teacher had announced a test, and seemingly where the teacher gave the questions to be typed, the person had announced to someone who was also a student. When we were writing the economics test that morning, I remember very well that our economics teacher came that morning and said, he was giving us a question on channel of distribution. And he said, give reasons for direct dealing. For those who know economics, my little economics knowledge is, they'll tell you why the wholesaler goes directly to the consumer. Now, when the teacher had gone and corrected our scripts, a week later he came with the papers. I will not call the student's name, but he's still alive. Some of my mates know him. What this teacher, who knew some of his students, who they are and what they can do, he called one of us and said, I have not seen your paper. When I was marking, I did not see your paper. Can you please go to the board and draw the channel of distribution for me? That is your own test. This guy took the chalk, went to the board, spent close to 15 minutes and was almost sleeping. The teacher told him, go back and sit. And behold, my economics teacher removed his paper, Mr. Kum Leonard. This guy had 19.5. And the teacher said, thank God I know my students and I know what they can do. It tells you that it's a chain. There are a group of people in the GCE board. It's a fact. It's just, Mr. Liu, there is nothing like they went and did this, they went and did that. Let us name and shame those who are within the GCE board who got involved in this bad business. And Mr. Liu, you asked a very good question. It does not only undermine the system of education, Mr. Liu, it is a mockery to the Anglo-Saxon man. The Englishman will tell you that he's an honest man. The Englishman will tell you that objectivity is his second name. The Englishman will tell you that morality is his cousin. The Englishman will tell you that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Mr. Liu, when you wrote the GCE, ordinary level, it wasn't the case. I'm not undermining another exam. It wasn't the case. We'd say back or BAPC. Why? Because when some of us wrote the GCE, you had only one channel to know your results, and that was a national station. It took you time, it took you patience, the joy came with it. Center number 001, Boya, external. Passed in 11 papers in order of merit. Number 1, Kum Leonard. There was that joy. Before you even heard your name, it is one auntie from Isu who is calling your uncle they are living with in a day. You never hear. It was the whole community. It took 2 days of joy. And even when you failed this exam, because they got to a moment where they say pass in 4 papers in orders of merit. They got to one point and they say, Anne. When they say Anne and you don't hear your name, it means I cried that day for compound. You will spend even 2 weeks, you are not moving freely in the street. Mr. Liu, we had an exam, we had a culture, we had something to preserve. When I look at what is going on, I just feel like, where are we? I wrote somewhere in a WhatsApp group and I brought some points where I was asking people, where did we go wrong? A lot of things have gone wrong. Where did we get to? That someone who has a white collar job as working in the GCE board stoop as low as negotiating and selling exams. Let these people be named in public. Like Semutaga said, if we can arrest people for political activism, I think it's even very weak. Someone who undermines the future of a nation should be named, presented to the public, because he has not only killed a country, he has killed a generation. A child who cheats to pass will steal tomorrow. And a child who cheats to pass, once he's given office, corruption is a first thing. Well, because this child does not even merit. And then at the level of the office, you will discover that he will do what they call, a literature teacher will say, he's a half-baked administrator. Someone who appears in a suit, who is very well dressed, but knows nothing about what he's doing, because he negotiated his way all through. I think, Mr. Liu, that this same situation, don't be shocked that when you're discussing with someone, I was discussing with a brother to the Frenchman, he told a French brother, he told me, j'ai appris que votre histoire là, les enfants ont triché jusqu'à on a annulé ça. Where do you keep your face? And then I will even bring that certificate even tomorrow or somewhere. He tells you, vos histoires là que vous trichez. It doesn't sell well, Mr. Liu. I think that any person who is involved in this national disgrace, this shame in Cameroon, the people, is easy to get them. Who are those who are printing? Who are those who are directly involved during the printing? I've worked with newspapers. We used to go to where they are doing the montage, the layout. We decided, so, okay, instead of putting this picture for Mr. Liu to tell this story, remove this picture. If you put the one where he's wearing his eyeglasses and he's also wearing his suit, whereas we want to pass across a sad message, the picture will not tie with the story. And you go and look for other pictures. So there are people who even go, because his picture is in, even like in English language, there are people who walk all through this process. Let the GCE board, this thing is easy. Let the GCE board know all those who are there when they are printing these papers. These people, when you finish printing, how do those papers leave that printing press and get to my village called Misaje, and goes to Chungi, and goes to Ako, and goes to Mwa, and goes to Ngoneko village, and gets to Mbengui? How do they get there? Because these papers travel. They travel. How do these papers get to Photocall? How do these papers get to Manfe? We should know those who are involved in this channel of distribution, because it's a channel of distribution. Once we know the channel of distribution, we will get them arrested. It's a simple thing. Gendarmes normally investigate. If someone is assassinated, they tell you investigations are ongoing. In less than no time, you find results. A group of bandits who killed someone in a day, they felt they had succeeded. One picked the phone. It did not take up to 2 weeks. The National Gendarmerie brought them down. I think, Mr. Liu, that Professor Nalova Lyunga, I think I was discussing with you off camera, that who may want to do this. But when you look at it, that's what I was asking Mr. Liu. I was like, who wants the head of Minister Nalova Lyunga? Like someone wrote, Minister Nalova Lyunga was my vice chancellor when I was in UB. This is a woman who is, I like the adjectives. She's good. If she speaks her grammar, you're like, oh, this woman just came. And when she came to the secondary education, Mr. Liu, we have witnessed some reforms. We have witnessed reforms. Now, students pay school fees through the bank, Mr. Liu. It means that bursars do no longer have that business that they used to do with the principals. Because at first, bursars and principals were very good friends. They will collect school fees, invest in something else, and before you know it. But now the minister comes and says, all children must register, pay their school fees via the bank. And then I think this year, another modification that she brought is an identification. All students should be identified, be it in Form 1 or in Form 2. These are things that are worth applauding for. How did we get here? So someone somewhere is doing everything, Mr. Liu, to see to it that this exam should be tampered with. And Mr. Liu, permit me say this. You asked Mr. Museka a question, that is it that the teachers, what they have found themselves in, should it make them to sell exams? Efficiency of labor is defined as the ability of a worker to produce a greater output at a shorter time without a fall in the quality of the work done. They now give you the factors. They tell you one, and most importantly, my economist told me in Form 3, is the health of the worker and working condition. A worker who works in the CDC plantation with rain boots, with a helmet, and has eyeglasses, and has gloves, Mr. Liu, to do clearing and carry nuts, will be more productive than someone who is inside that plantation with slippers, no helmet, and nothing. The condition of teachers in the private sector, I've been a teacher, I taught in Buya. I invigilated in Moya. Now, When you even look at the structure of invigilating, say Mutagamos, since you're in the system, you understand. Mr. Leo, before you people invigilate, there's still a chain in that invigilation stuff. You people attend, if GC is beginning on Monday, you people attend a meeting on Saturday where they drill you. They tell you this is how you behave, because it may be your first time to invigilate. They'll tell you this is how you behave with your students when they are writing. Even if you catch a student cheating, do not shout. It may affect the child psychologically or through the exam. They teach you how to manage your child through the exam. Now, what they do is, you're teaching English language. Of course, they want to put you to invigilate chemistry because it shows you have a literature background. And now you hardly have, but now what happens? You come and invigilate on Monday, the names come out. After invigilating on that Monday, you're coming on Tuesday, the whole setup has changed. It is now man, no man. Because the rescheduling for the invigilation for the whole day now is a relationship between the teacher, his principal, the chief of center. Who the principal of the school is that chief of center. It's a relationship between the teacher. You find someone who invigilates in the morning, invigilates in the afternoon. If I invigilate from Monday to Friday, whereas someone has just a single day. Not because the one who invigilates from Monday to Friday, morning and afternoon is more competent than the other, but just because it's a network. And I think, Mr. Leo, that it is time that we took this nation serious. We should not have a nation where we go to the World Cup, we come back as the last team. We should not have a nation where they have suspended the GC. It should not only be negativity. Let us also talk about a nation who have taken the World Cup.
Let me just throw light on what you are saying. You find out that what is killing our nation is nepotism and favoritism. You find out that even at the end of the investigations, if it is true that some of those people who were caught in the selling of equations and all the like are brothers to this person, to this man, to that person, the investigations will end up in the cupboards, and you will never have the results anywhere. Like you said, in the years past, I had been an invigilator of the GCE. A literature teacher and an English language teacher that I used to be would not be allowed to invigilate English language and literature. You know, today I'm a jurist. I work in a chamber. So I taught literature and English language in the secondary school. So you would not be allowed to invigilate English language or literature. They were to use either a mathematics teacher, a chemistry teacher. But today, just because of man, no man, you know, the chief of center, they bring the brother, whether it's a mathematician and all these things like this.
Mr. Liunga, how do we turn the tide? Because from every education, it has to do with big business within some networks along the corridors of the GCE bunch. We don't know whether some are external, and mostly some teachers. Almost every school now wants to score 100% because they want to use that percentage to sell the school. How do we come back to prioritizing the interests of education and the molding of Cameroonians, putting business out of this?
Yeah, Mr. Liu, it's very difficult to do that. Okay. Because the standard of living now is very high.
Mm-hmm. And people need to survive.
Purchasing power of Cameroonians is very low. Mm-hmm. And morality and ethics are not given a place. Nobody wants to listen to that. Everybody is looking for a way out to survive. So even the people that are school owners, proprietors, a good number of them have taken very huge loans in banks, and they have the capital and the interest, which they are struggling to see how to pay back. So they will do everything possible to get money in order to have a good name, to have a school that has a good name, so that many more children will come to his school, and you make more money to pay back his loan and to pay back whatsoever he's paying back, and so on. The Pope, if you follow the speech of the Pope mentioned a number of things there. One of the problems which we are facing in Cameroon today is that we have relegated morality, we have relegated ethics. Cameroonians are very dishonest at all levels, including their parents, children, youth, and so on. We are very dishonest. And this has made an environment which has welcomed mediocrity as being normal. Most of the students that go to that pass ENS, that pass Qs, that pass many other entrances are students who never passed, but their names are on the list, and they go and study, they smile, and at the end the 2 E's are those that are in Qs, then the 5 A's are at home. And so the way things are today, everybody is looking at how to survive. The workers of the GCE board themselves are somewhere at a black plum tree, and most of them know that they might not be there for long. So they will exploit the short time that they have there to make that which they can make out of the place. So raising up a new generation of honest Cameroonians, truthful Cameroonians, Cameroonians that are morally upright, it's a very difficult task. And that is the reason why, because this is difficult, all control measures that are necessary today, I mean advanced control measures, must be put in place, because there is zero trust of human beings. There's zero trust. And also, the issue of outsourcing the printing of the GCE questions is out of place. The GCE board should not be outsourcing the printing of GCE questions. The GCE board should have its own printing facility. You don't go and give examination to a third party. That third party is doing business. That is another source of business you have given him or her. They will use it, they will exploit it. They may do it for a short while and not misbehave. After a while, they start misbehaving, because it's another source of income that will help them make more money for their business. So that alone is already a big problem for the GCE board, because if that third party leaks the questions, which is an obvious situation that they want to look for a way to make money from those questions, then you have already put the lives of Cameroonians on the line. So the GCE board, there should be a serious reform. Thank God that the Minister of Secondary Education is there. Let the GCE board have its own printing facilities there, and they should print the questions. They should not go and give it to any other third party to print. Just that movement alone is already a problem. Then I also wish to say this, that the people who work at the GCE board, there should be a complete overhaul. It means that you should not work in such a place for more than 2 years. There should be a route. There are many other Cameroonians who can work there. Don't keep people there for long. Change them and bring a new set. Because when people stay in a place for long, they develop networks, they build networks, and these networks are usually corrupt networks. Don't keep people at the GCE board for long. Rotate them, bring other new staff, other persons to work there. Let nobody stay there for long. Let nobody see the place as though that is his job site. That way is a control measure to avoid networks being developed. By the time they are trying to develop a network that will be removed, a new set comes. That is another way to curve down this issue, so that those new ones now, they are not connected to anybody. By the time they stay for 1-2 years, they too are removed and a new set is brought. That way the GCE board will be a little bit safer than keeping some individuals there. They already know that that's their house. They have already developed very strong networks. They are selling the questions. They are selling even the database entry. That is the final entry. Most of them, you are not very sure. Students still gain grades and the rest. So that is it. Yes, that is it. Let the GCE board not keep staff there for long. Let staff be rotated and let other teachers and other administrators be brought to the GCE board. Then they clear the whole place, and a new set comes in and continue from there, day in, day out, rotatory. It will help reduce, it may not completely eradicate, but it will help reduce the corrupt networks that have already been established.
Okay, way forward from what we are living in now, stricter penalties to those found guilty. Should we actually see persons openly punished, or it works behind doors without informing Cameroonians of the outcome of the investigation?
Mr. Kum Leonard, I think for public sanity, it's important that the suspects, because they are just suspects, who would be picked, should be investigated and brought to law. Let the law take its course, and there should be adequate communication so that it will serve as a deterrent to other persons who would want to involve in this kind of scrupulous and unethical conduct, especially with the management of examinations, official examinations in our country. I know so well that Madame Naloba Lyonga, though being a CPDM militant, whom I am not in any way one of those who would like to sing praises, is a no-nonsense woman. So if she would want to do the job well, I think she can do the job well. So we should be frank enough to tell Madame Lyonga that the entire nation is looking up to her to see that she removes the shame that has been thrown on the GCE board, the shame that has befallen the whole Anglo-Saxon system of education, because if you tamper with the GCE, then you have tampered with the Anglo-Saxon system of education. Madame Lyonga, I'm not your militant, I'm of the opposition, but I want to think that if you want to do the job, you will do the job. We who are jurists, those of us who are Cameroonians of good faith, who have children, and we want to leave a legacy for posterity by telling them that we won't pass through the GCE, we were teachers, we were happy to be teachers, and that we had never got ourselves involved in examination malpractices. We think that you should do something. So, Mr. Kum Leonard, I think she can do something. So we are waiting for Madame Lyonga to do something. This is not a time to begin to expose someone to ridicule. It's a time for us to clean the face of our country, both nationally and internationally. And those teachers who are involved, no matter whatever reason they have to justify for it, I think it is unheard of that a teacher that is supposed to be the light of the society is involved in selling questions. Questions, imagine it. So I think they should do something, Mr. Kum Leonard.
Yes, so many persons are crossed with what is happening. I'll just read some of their reactions here for us to know the gravity of what's happening. This one says, we are playing with the very essence of our roots. Imagine somebody of office, the back says GCE board is fake. It's a shame. Let the entire board be dissolved. Good evening, Mr. Liu and team. Amayu Collins from Boya. To curb examination malpractices in Cameroon's examination board should swap teachers of schools to act as invigilators. For example, teachers of GHS Great Support Program by the board to invigilate students of GHS Boya Town. This will prevent teacher-students familiarity while upholding the seriousness. But what if the exams were already leaked? This will still not solve the problem. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening to all the panelists. Mommy Princess in Boya. Please, our children should be liberated. All workers in the GCE board should be arrested. Parents should wake up and teach their children the word of God and help teachers follow up their children at home. Good evening, Mr. Leo. It's really embarrassing to hear this about the GCE board. Is the GCE board not mature enough to have a printing press in its own? Of its own, okay? Ba Chik Mana writing from Mbengwi. Dear Mr. Liu, examination leakage cannot be treated in isolation. It is closely linked to the corruption, which is a big problem in Cameroon. Thank you. Nkwan Jacob, okay? Good evening, Mr. Liu. The GCE board and the examination managers are the prime suspects of the examination. So many persons actually want a strong sledgehammer on the GCE board, members themselves and the workers.
Mr. Liu, when I was going down memory lane in history today, when we're to discuss this topic, I discovered that the pioneer registrar for the GC board was Azongwara. And I'm very sure that all through his reign, nothing was said about leakages. Is it that there were no Android phones? Of course, I'm sure there were. And we also had people like Omer Yembe, they worked. We had people like Monono, they also worked. We did not have much of this this leakage. I just feel, Mr. Liu, that who is paying the price in all this thing, Mr. Liu, is an honest student in my own small community that does not have an Android phone, who had spent the whole 8 months reading and waiting to write their exam today, and is penalized because someone in Douala has exams in their phone or in their own day. That's where the problem is. And the person that is penalized is that mommy who managed to send her child out of her community to go study, and was only praying that the child had to finish on Friday. But now they're telling the mama that, mama, you have to wait for another 2 weeks, and that your child will finish right on the 4th of July. It's that mommy that is suffering. Those who have sent their children to boarding schools, I was reading, it's official. Some boarding schools are already telling parents the latest day to come and take your children is tomorrow and bring them back on the 17th. That's what the boarding schools are saying. It's clear, it's not a rumor. Now, what becomes of a small mama who took a child from Fume and sent to Mr. J to come and go to school? The mama was thinking that the 18 is a finish year, the child will come and be helping her in the farm. That's what we're looking at. We're looking to also, our children are in dormitory in government schools. Because the mission schools have the way they function. Government schools, where will extra food come to give these children the dormitory? Mr. Leo, the problem here in this thing, how do we explain that in 2026, for a GC board that was created in 1993, that it doesn't have a printing press? The Guardian Post, without publicity for that newspaper, has a printing press. A newspaper. It's somebody's newspaper. It's not government. It prints its papers daily. How do we explain that Cameroon Tribune has a printing press, Sopecam, but the GCE board does not have a printing press? How did we even get here? This is not even something to be... we know how money is transferred in this country. When money is leaving one bank to the other, we know how it passes.
Is it even a problem of the GC board having a printing press? I think that it's a problem of the liaison officers. I still insist.
You're already looking at liaison. I'm first of all looking at the production. Because once this paper, I've worked with a newspaper like I was saying, once you are working for a newspaper, the day, what you see as front page is determined by the managing editor, the editor, and the publisher. Reporters don't come to that department. I don't know if you understand. They don't come there. You just read the papers. But there is a lot of board marks that goes in at the final day before the front pages that you see. We are saying that if we had a printing press first, if the GC had a printing press, we will not say, okay, Mr. Mosuke will trust you. Semutaga will trust you. Your records show that in the past you have not endorsed in this. Come, let us sit in this room. We will print. After printing, we will ensure that there should be tight security before these questions go. Because when money leaves one bank to the other to go and pay workers, you see the security. There is tight security. They need to give our GCE its image. And Mr. Liu, another issue that Mr. Lyonga said, which is very important. When a nation, I'm not a religious fanatic, but when a nation plays with morality, there is a problem. We cannot live in a nation where they tell you, for you to write ENS with advanced level, you need 4 papers excluding religion. Children don't do religion again. Morality is nothing to them. They tell you, for you to do GCE ENS with 2 papers advanced level excluding religion. It means that religion is optional. What are we then talking about? We're talking about a system where a child registers 8 papers, concentrates on 4, has his fall and goes in my head. So
Yeah,
I think that
but you think that with the teaching of religion, something is going to be changed
No,
in
no,
China.
Mr. Liu.
Let me come. In China and Japan, we have very well brought up our children. I'm not sure that they are taught Christianity.
Mr. Liu,
Are we not now chasing
no,
shadows?
Mr. Liu, what I'm saying here is an element of morality needs to come in.
Yeah, but it should start from the teachers
Yeah,
themselves.
Mr. Liu, yeah.
It should start with the
Yes.
teachers.
Mr.
and
Liu, what
the
I'm
members of
saying
the
is
board. Yes.
the foundation, first of all, had a problem. A problem because the teachers themselves had a problem. And that is why normally in computer they will say garbage in, garbage out. That's what those who do IT says. I just feel, Mr. Liu, that our foundation, we need to revisit. Somebody was writing something somewhere. And I was beginning to share the person's idea that the GCE board would have just even said, okay, let us wait for this year. And restructure the whole system, because the system has a problem. All those, the Minister of Secondary Education and the Presidency, it has a ministry. We saw what the Minister of Mines did recently by cracking down illegal miners. We are saying that, I am saying that you are now looking at the angle of a politician that you are, and of the opposition, who sees nothing good from the current system. I understand your point. But what I'm saying here is the Minister of Secondary Education hates secondary. We used to have a Minister of National Education in this nation. But today we have the Minister of Basic Education, Professor Laurent Sesh Etundingwa. He takes care of primary school. We have a Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga. We have a Minister of Higher Education, Professor Jacques Vamdongo. We have vocational training that Chiruma resigned and has been given to the Minister Mununa Fotu. He's using them cumulatively. I feel that it is the Minister of Secondary Education's job description to put sanity in that ministry. It is her job description. It's not President Paul Biya's job description. You are the Minister of Secondary Education. Anything that is going wrong within secondary education is not Professor Laurent Seche Tuningo of Basic Education, because it's not first school living certificate. It is not the Minister of Higher Education, Jacques Famdongo, because it is not degree masters, neither is it PhD or is it HNDs. It is, what are we talking about, is the GCE. And I think, like he said, we should say, Mutaga, even if we are looking at liaison officers, if the GCE board had a printing press, we will not for the talk them. Let the GCE board have a printing press. We cannot be talking about a child that was born in 1993. We are talking of a child who was born in 1993. This is 2016. Is how many years? 33 years. A child that is 33 years does not own its own house. With the West, people from the West region, once a child goes beyond 20, the parents start training him how to go and get a small block, a small plot, and even raise his own building. At 30, you should not be staying with your parents. Any child at 30 is staying with the parents is a failure. And we cannot be talking about a GCE board that is 33 years old and does not have a house. Because if the GCE board does not have a printer, it has failed.
Okay, it has failed. We're talking about measures to crack down so that next year we don't come back to what we are living today.
Yes, I think one of the issue is that the cracking down would depend on the main source of leakage.
Okay.
If the main source of leakage is the outsourced printer that has sabotaged the exam, then they just have to cut off from external printing. But if the sabotage is coming within the house itself, then an overhaul should be done. There should be a serious crackdown, and key officials should go in for it, because they are responsible for that. And I think the investigation should be properly done so that innocent persons should not suffer for what they have not contributed. Yes, I think those directly concerned should be brought to book, and those who are not involved in any way should not suffer from what they are not.
Yeah, but some persons are also saying that parents are also pressuring the teachers and some schools to ensure that they pass. That parents actually give money to their children to do that. There is a child who has written to me that he actually paid 25,000 francs to join a group. I've asked him to clarify me on what that group is.
Yes, Mr. Leo, that is why we are saying that even if they create 1,000 WhatsApp group and these questions don't leak from the source, those groups will be useless. It is the channel, it is from the source that this question live, and they have created a network that works with these guys who create these groups through some teachers and some other persons. That's why I'm saying that people should not work at the GCE board for long. It means that there should be extreme rotation for staff at the board, because it's a very sensitive environment. People should not be there for long so that they don't have the ability to build corrupt networks to sell and make money. So when somebody knows that he will not be somewhere for long, he will not even have the time to build a network. By the time he wants to open his eyes, he has been replaced. Others set coming. That way now, it will be very difficult for these networks to prosper. Because even if parents give money to their children to go and buy, if there are no questions to buy, what would they buy? So it is from the source that the questions leak, that it moves now to these guys who are selling. So if those sources are blocked and there are stringent control measures to prevent the leakage, those parents will waste their money and they will not have any result. So that is what we are saying, that parents are exploiting an opportunity that has been given to them because they know that the questions will leak. And when they pay, they must get the questions, and the speckles will catch, as these children are saying. Our speckle don't catch again, and they say, and all this. So parents are secondary. The source is the GCE board. If the GCE board blocks everything, parents have nothing to do.
Even teachers.
Okay. Yes, you had something to say before we leave,
Yes,
Mr.
Kum Leonard, I want to be very frank with what is going on. You know, it is said that when you remove a fish, from the river and you place on the ground, or on the ground for it to get rotten, start from the head. You will know that with the numerous cases of embezzlement in our nation, corruptions and all the like, which have not been punished, Cameroonians have seen corruption, embezzlement, and whatever you can call it, as a way of life. Look at the just last ended presidential elections. Let me be frank. You know what happened with the Minad website. 24 hours, the president on that website was of manning them, was late George Anise Dekane. 2 hours after the deposition of Professor Maurice Kamto's candidature, the whole website was toppled, and the name that featured there was that of Jeduna Yebga, a minister of this republic, is the person managing that ministry. Up to this date, this present day, we have not heard anything with regards to that this was as a result of a hacking and all the like. So all these cases of corruption, cases of fraud, cases of bad management, mismanagement, and all the like that are done in the nation, orchestrated by those who are at the top of the nation. Those are managing the institutions at the highest hem, and they are left unpunished. Makes the ordinary citizen, especially those who are managing the lower institutions. You know, the GC board is not so big as to compare to the ministry, to the minister's office is not as big as to compare to the minister of territorial administration, to the minister of this and all the like. So when all these things happen like that, people think that we are in a country where everything is a laissez-faire. That's why I say that there should be exemplary chastisement of those who would be caught or who would be brought out, genuinely brought out, because like Mr. Lyonga said, it should not be something that they are going to do it to get a scapegoat, maybe to pick some people who are not really involved. You know what is really done in this nation. I said it here that why you see that inquiries, commissions of inquiries are set out and finally people are not being punished is because in the field they realize that those who were put to manage the institutions are the cousins of X, the cousin of Y, the cousin of Z, the cousin of P, and all the like. And when there's a leakage like this, if you want to pick those people and put in prison, this person will be crying that no, it's my cousin, it's this and all the like. So when people have remained in an office for long and they have developed some roots and relationships and all the like, you find it is easier for them to maneuver. We have state institutions like parastatal institutions, companies like Sodikotom SCDP, you have Soneral, you have the National Hydrocarbon Company, and all the like, where you have the general managers have been there for the last 20 years. Their salary, Mr. Prince, some of them are on 15 million francs. Some of them are on 20 million francs. Do your inquiry. You find out the Director General of the National Hydrocarbon Company, I don't want to call his name, is on about 35 million francs per month. The others, 45 million francs per month.
That's not our topic.
You find that in a system where people are there for long, and then they are not being removed, they develop systems which they rig, systems which they corrupt, systems which they function by nepotism and all the like. And then when you look at what is happening at the GC board, let me just cue. I am not in any way creating division. The question is this: why is it that the cases of irregularity are rampant only when Nalova Lyonga, who is an Anglophone, is the Minister of Secondary Education? Because I thought that she is the Minister of Secondary Education, knowing that she is from the Anglophone expression, she knows how the system is supposed to have been managed. So she is supposed to check well those who she has put in the line to ensure the dispatchment of those questions. Could it not be a calculated ploy by some people to rubbish her image and ensure that some other person be brought in, maybe a francophone? Excuse me, to the francophones who are listening, I'm not in any way castigating, excuse me what I'm saying.
She has debunked
it, but then we are into politics. She's not my militant, she's not of my political ball, Mr. Kum Leonard, but I want to be very objective.
Why don't you also think that the usage of this IT stuff, digital, WhatsApp, and the rest have changed? Because she has been in office for over 5
Internet
6 years.
Came when it was up come to this nation.
But the rate at which they use it today, you cannot compare it with what obtained in 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago.
Mr. Kum Leonard, like I said, it does not in any way cancel the fact that we are in politics. I know exactly what I'm saying. We are in politics where there is already an acute problem of succession at the Supreme Magistrates of the nation, where a number of things can be done, a lot of gamings can be done at the background and at any level to ensure that a whole group of people is being rubbished, so that we can say that this person was at this particular institution, he could not manage it. What more if this person is at the Supreme Magistracy of the nation from this particular geographical area? We are in Cameroon. We don't seem to forget all these things. I want to be frank. She's CPDM. I'm RSA. If I came here to do politics, I would have been throwing stones on her head.
Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. I'm Vera, watching from Libialem. In my opinion, papers should be kept in the military camp at the level of the subdivisions to avoid leakage, because teachers are also involved in leaking it. Yes, the military camps, they themselves sell. I don't know whether they will not be tempted to sell this out to some teachers or head teachers in the subdivision. Prince Tobo from Bamenda says the issue is not the printing press. Even if the GCE board have their own printing press, with the same government, it will not change or help the situation. Please, sir, if possible, kindly read my previous message. They contain concerns shared by many GCE candidates, and I would be grateful if our voices could be heard. I've read some of them already. SMA Judge from Tombel says it's from the sources that all this error are coming from. So we need a well-equipped documentation that belongs to the board. Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu. The problem is the chief inspector. How can you explain that to invigilate a paper, they pay you 2,500 francs per paper, but the chief inspector give you 1,000 francs? So what do you expect from the teachers? So they have to leak. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Greetings to all in the studio. This leakage is from the hierarchy themselves. I am so upset, Mr. Liu, because this is a big disgrace to our certificate. Mama, would have think of another way to treat this issue, not postponing. 2 weeks ago, the bar exams was being written and there was a report on exams malpractice, but there was no suspension. Other exams do leak, but they treat it privately in another way. Thanks. Caroline is writing from Bonaberry. Hello to the crew and the panel. Mr. Liu, thank you for the pivotal role you play in educating satisfaction of Cameroonians, okay? The truth about all the maneuvers and the deteriorating state of our country is not only noticed in the scenario of GCE writing. I will say it's all about the political will of the politicians. What I mean is that the country can only be shaped if our politicians desist from politics and selfish politics to that of the general interest. Discipline is lacking in our school milieu today. From Banjo, a Nigerian author stated that discipline is heaven's first law and must also be the first law in any good institution. Imagine that punishment has been reduced to apparently zero effect just for the fact that corporal appears within its application. A lot of children are wayward today because the minister is introducing methods of discipline which are of little effects as compared to the crime. Thanks. Embassam writing from Yaoundé. I'm Kong Rene watching from Jongo Court area. I love the program. It is sad situation for the GCE exams to be leaked. This act alone waters the credibility of exams in this country. I suggest that GCE board should investigate book the culprit and let the GCE board have our own printing facilities. This will curb some of the issues raised. Okay. Good evening to you all in the studio. Tightly, all the blames should go to the minister. This thing happened last year. She, as the boss, did nothing, and it has been happening for many years now. And she has never locked up someone to let others learn. This one says, I think the government should enforce investigations and track down those that were selling GCE questions within the GCE board. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Kum, and your wonderful panelists. This is mind-blowing topic. I'm following live from Tico. Thank God Sokadel has pitied us this evening. My suggestion is that experts should be hired to carry out the investigation about the leakage. If I may suggest, the experts that investigated the Martinez Ogo should be consulted. Thanks, Sir Prizo, writing from Tico. Hello, Mr. Liu. The government should allow the GCE board alone to do as they used to do in the years that yes. Okay. Thank you, Prince, for coming.
It's always a pleasure being on board, Mr. Liu, to share ideas and to educate Cameroonians. It's our own way to contribute towards nation building. I would tell all those who were to write the GCE today, like Professor Kinsley Ngalangango always say, courage, brothers, sisters, do not stumble. It may delay, but it will come to pass. I understand what it means, Mr. Liu, that you've read all through the night to come write an exam. I've been in that shoe. I understand what it means, that you read to come and write an exam in the morning. Just a test even, and they tell you that the teacher has postponed it. Psychologically, you're not okay not to talk about 2 weeks. I want to encourage all the GC candidates that 2 weeks is nothing. You've read already, and what will come from the 18th, or rather the 22nd, to the 4th of July will not be different. Okay. It is coming still within the syllabuses. That's it. Special good evening to the peace-loving people of Mr. J subdivision, and a best of GC to all of you people.
Okay, hello, Mr. Leo. We are playing with the very essence of our roots. Imagine somebody okay, Mr. Leo, the fact that there were no feasibility studies to stop this terrible malpractice, I am still of the opinion that the entire board should be disciplined. I am. Sama, thank you for coming.
Yes,
the future mayor of Boya.
Yes, I just wish to thank all the people of Boya. We are together, and we are trying to see that this GCE board itself is found in Boya. And unfortunately, Cameroon is among the 16th, within the first 16th bad governance countries in the world. According to the world rating, Cameroon falls within the first 16 countries. So I just pray that the GCE board should overcome this bad governance level that is already in our country. And I think that good governance can be imposed in this GCE board, and let a good number of the persons that have been there for long be removed, and let a new set of people be put so that that network is broken, and a new set of people will come and set up the place again, so that we will have better news next academic year. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Mr. Mutaga.
Thank you, Mr. Kum Leonard, for giving me this opportunity to be on set once again. May I use this opportunity to laud our parents to ensure that our children learn. Let them not get them acquainted with facilities, keeping them home and thinking that they will have to buy questions for the children to write or go and copy in the examination hall. Remember, education is the only thing we can give to a child. You can give fabulous sums of money in the bank, and those sums of money will be squandered overnight. But if you give a child solid education, then you have laid a solid foundation for the child to build a future for himself and for the nation. So thank you so much. Okay. Courage to those who will be writing the GCE, and to tell them that let them not relent.
Okay.
Better is still ahead.
Okay, so there is one more point I would like to raise. Since the GCE examinations have been postponed, I sincerely hope that the concours examination will also be reconsidered. Many Anglophone students normally begin preparatory concours classes immediately after writing the GCE in order to prepare for entrance examinations. However, with the GCE now overlapping with this period, it becomes very difficult for candidates to prepare adequately. We all know that most concours examinations follow a syllabus that is completely different from the advanced level syllabus. Students therefore need dedicated time to study new subjects and adapt to a different examination format. With the current situation, many candidates are worried about how they will cope with both the postponed GCE and the upcoming concours examinations. With all due respect, I hope the relevant authorities will take this concern into consideration. Thank you all. With all due respect, sir, I would also like to express a personal hope regarding the concours examination. I fully respect the minister's decision concerning the GCE, and I am not opposing it in any way. However, if strict measures are being applied to ensure fairness and integrity in the GCE, I hope the same principles will be upheld for the concours examinations. Many of us aspire to gain admission into our dream schools through hard work, dedication, and merits. We hope that when we complete GCE and proceed to the concours, every candidate will have a fair opportunity to succeed based on the knowledge, preparation, and ability. Our wish is that admissions into these institutions should reflect what candidates have learned and what they are capable of achieving academically, so that everyone can have confidence in the process. Thank you for your attention, sir. Please, sir. Okay, we want to thank you all for watching. Thank you, special thank you to you, Eli, for production, and to all of you, especially those who sent text messages to also exchange with us from the studio. Thank you once again. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.